I think we're gonna use this palette that I've been using recently instead of the little handheld one. I don't know, just a lot more space on this, and I guess also you can store your paints easier, stuff like that. I think it might keep my paints fresher. I don't know yet. Well, I don't know. That pile of mud is getting pretty dry. I'm probably going to have to scrape that up later. Oh, it's just been a little bit since we painted, unfortunately. So some of this paint that I have on here is a little, I guess you could say going to waste. Yeah, going to waste might be the right word for it. Well, think of it is that if you have like a big pile of it, oil paint doesn't like to dry thickly. So even if it dries, you can still break the film on it, and there's some usable paint that's still in there. Might want to peel away the skin and all that, etc., etc. But it's not like the paint is completely irredeemable or anything like that. It's just going to require a little bit of extra effort. I think I'm just going to start today with some of the Cadmium Yellow, Alizarin Crimson, and Ultramarine. Ultramarine looks like it's still pretty juicy. Nah, it's got a film over it too. That's how you know we haven't painted in a little while, because Ultramarine takes some time to dry compared to Prussian Blue. So, man, maybe we've been slacking off a little bit. Well, yeah, maybe we have. But we're here today, and that's what matters. As long as you get back up on that pony and get back to it. Cadmium colors take the longest time to dry. Alizarin Crimson, if you use the real stuff, takes a while too. But Cobalts, Prussian, Earths, they probably dry the fastest. Alright, let's get to it, guys. I think we're going to start with the shirt here, just to get some forms going and outline what we're going to do next, guys. Alright, I don't know how I feel about this, but I'm breaking open the skin of my old pile white here and seeing what's still usable. And we might run into some stuff here. Yeah, a lot of this is still pretty decent. Not all of it, obviously. But we still got some good paint in here that might as well get put to good use. Okay. I think I've gotten about pretty much what I'm going to get out of there. Let's start with a little bit of Prussian Blue. I'm trying to decide how I want to go about this, because Prussian Blue, it's pretty vibrant all by itself, but we might want to, I don't know, we might want to neutralize it with a little bit of Cadmium Red Light. It might be the way to do things. Okay. Well, let's see how we like all this first, and then we'll make some decisions from there. Yeah, just a touch more white on this, because, you know, you can never have enough white, it seems like, on any color when you're trying to get a good highlight going. Alright, that'll probably do. Starting to get a little dull there, so maybe that'll look nice. Alright, let's focus, and let's... Well, that's looking a little bright, isn't it? Yeah, maybe. Well, maybe we finally added enough white. At long last, we finally found the secret sauce on the white. Here, let's just bring this up here a little bit. I think the skin and all that is going to go a little bit higher than we think it is. And down right around here, right around just almost the halfway point right here, there's going to be this remote that's going to be on the figure's lap. Okay, and right about here is where I reckon, I think, we got a lot of texture on the canvas. There's a reason that some artists sand it down, but I don't sand it down because I'm a little bit afraid of breathing in dust from the painting. And a lot of dust from my paintings would include cadmium colors. And if you breathe in cadmium colors, well, it's not going to be great. It's going to be a pretty miserable experience. Breathing in cadmium colors will do a number on you guys. I really, really, really do not recommend sanding paintings all that much if you can help it. And if you do, you really need to wear a respirator, and you need to make sure that you have that area ventilated. And I mean ventilated. Alright. Maybe we'll start thinking about, I don't know, start thinking about a few colors here and there. Maybe we'll just bring some of the color that we're painting over into this area so that it looks like there's just a little bit more going on with certain things. Like, you notice that we paint different panels or different grid squares at different times, and sometimes when we do that it causes the colors to look a little bit disjointed, but hopefully we can just get a little bit of these colors in these areas as we're going, so that maybe we can make it spill over into the other area so it doesn't look like there's such a disparity between different colors. Of course, we're going to give the whole thing a big old, I guess, another do-over, I guess you call it. I don't even know if a do-over is the right word for it, the right phrase for it, but that's kind of the gist of what we're doing here. We're getting all of our proportions right. We're going to try to get the colors right as we go. I mean, whether or not we actually do is another matter, but we're going to try. We're not going to just do a fly-by-night operation. But we are going to go in later, after the fact, and make sure that everything is right. Okay, right about in here is where the remote is going to make its appearance. And this is going to be kind of tough to pull off, I think, but mostly because there's going to be a lot of buttons on the remote, so there's going to be quite a bit of detail. Not that you can't fudge details at all. I mean, you can. You can. Yeah, you can just kind of... A lot of times you can just do whatever with details. That sounds awful, but... If things are not the focal point of the painting, sometimes you can fudge details and get away with it. Because people generally aren't going to be looking at, say, the square in the upper right versus the square that's somewhere around this general vicinity. It's one of those things about emphasis. Now, all art is different, though. All art is different, so a lot of times you'll see art that just breaks conventional rules, and it's always awesome to see, because, I don't know, if you're ever in art class and you hear your instructors talk on and on about the elements and principles of art, oh, God. Like, God bless the elements and principles of art and everything, but, oh man, they get a little tiresome sometimes. Because I think that sometimes art instructors get so focused on the elements and principles of art that they lose sight of making art. And I get that they're educating, I get that. It's just, I don't know, man. I think it's when the teachers get too rigid with it that it starts to hurt the process of making art. Because sometimes, sometimes you'll have a decision you want to make that you think is pretty ballsy, or someone else will have a decision they want to make that's pretty ballsy, but you'll have an instructor that says, nah, that ain't the assignment. I don't know. I'm just talking. Sometimes you just want to do things differently. Yeah, there's assignments. But God, sometimes assignments get in the way of creativity. You really do. Alright, I'm adding a little bit of sap green to my... Adding a little bit of sap green, and then using my cadmium yellow deep to make it a little bit more yellow. I'm trying to dull down this orange a little bit. My cadmium yellow deep, I realize, is a lot more of an orange than it is a yellow. And some days that's pretty useful. Other days it's less useful. It's, yeah. Some days I wish that my cadmium yellow deep were actually a little bit more yellow. I'm going to have to, once I run out of this stuff, I'm probably going to have to start using a different brand so that it works the way I need it to. I've enjoyed this brand of paint that I've been using for a while. But it's a brand of paint that's not really made anymore. So once it's out, it's out. All the colors got discontinued ages ago, unfortunately. Like years ago they got discontinued. So I've just been sitting on this paint for a very long time. Well, not that long, but well, you know what I mean, guys. Long enough. Long enough. Okay. This might be alright. I'm always a little bit nervous about this. I wonder if I should have added more green to everything. Maybe that would have been the way to go. Let's try a bolder color on this and just see what it looks like, because sometimes you need to add a little bit. Okay, that's kind of a golden yellow color, I think, that is gonna look pretty nice up against the Prussian blue that we've been using. I wonder if maybe we should think about busting out some of the cadmium red light after all, just to get a few, I don't know, to get a few more neutral colors up in places. Feels like it just, I don't know, feels sometimes like it needs something, doesn't it? Here, let's go over here and slip some of that in. Now, bear in mind, I just mixed this with a little bit of sap green and cadmium yellow deep, so now it's got this kind of earthy yellow color, which is always pretty cool to see. And like I say, people tell you can't mix. People tell you can't mix yellow from any other colors, but that's not necessarily true. Because I just used an orange and a green to do it. So here it is. In context of the painting, I'm sure someone will have some words to say about it, but what can I tell you guys? I'm the one painting this picture. All right. Let's just get a little creative here. There's going to be some little bits and bobs over here. Some little folds and everything. I'll just pretend that some light is hitting the shirt in different spots. Maybe there's some folds happening. I don't know. Maybe there is. Here, let's bring this over this way. We just take a little bit of that, swirl it over here. That's good. Alright, we're going to have to focus on some other stuff pretty soon here. I can't be rendering the shirt all night. As lovely as it might be, we're going to have to do something a little bit different here and there. Okay, let me bust out some cadmium red light. God, actually I don't even know if I need to, because I don't think the one that I have is dry. So maybe we can get away without doing that. And once again, cadmium colors pull through. You really gotta hand it to cadmium colors, guys. God. They're always the best colors in my book. Okay, there's a little bit of skin on this cadmium. That's unexpected. Okay, well, we don't need much cadmium red light, I don't think, so let's just take a little bit. Well, actually, I kind of took a lot there. Yeah, I kind of took a bit. Okay, this is Prussian blue with some cadmium red light. And between Prussian blue and cadmium red light, I have to admit that the cadmium and Prussian are pretty well matched. The Prussian really holds its own. Thankfully, Prussian blue is a very strong color, so we don't have to worry about it too much. Okay, I think we might have something we can work with here. Let's check that. It's a little bit of a violet-ish gray color, but I think it'll work. Yeah, it's just dark enough that I think it'll work. Let's go ahead and slip this into a few places, guys, and just see how it looks. Like maybe, I don't know. Okay, that's a good violet gray right there. Interesting things happening already. Good. I think this might have been the right call. Now the thing of it is with colors like this, a lot of them when you mix a color like Prussian blue with cadmium red light, it depends how orange the cadmium red light is, because if it's a little bit oranger, then it's going to have a little bit more of a neutral to the color, but the way things are right now, I don't know if there's that much of a neutral here. It's very, well, it's not extremely violet, because cadmium doesn't mix violets at all. Not really. And the reason for that is because it doesn't reflect any blue light. No blue light at all. I'm not even joking around, guys. No blue light at all. That's crazy to think about, right? So, if you ever mix a purple with a cadmium color, you have to rely entirely on the blue light that's being reflected in the actual blue paint, or the violet light. Because the light reflectance on a cadmium color, it just completely drops off after the red reflectance. Completely drops off. So it's one of those unique colors that you don't really expect. That's one of those reasons I like cadmium so much. It's just, it's so well anchored to the warm side of the color wheel that it refuses to do anything else. It knows it has a job it needs to do, and it does it. And it doesn't want to do anything else. A lot of art instructors actually don't really tell their students that, well, if you want to mix a violet, you're not going to be able to do it with this color or that color. A lot of art instructors know a lot about, like I say, the elements and principles, but as far as working with materials, that kind of goes out the window a little bit. It's one of the most disappointing things about art instruction, I think. Or at least fine art instruction. Maybe it's gotten better. After all, I haven't really taken a class in a long time, so at this point, you just got to ask yourself, well, what does this guy know? And the answer is, well, probably not as much as you if you've been to college recently. And, well, there's the straight facts right there. Okay. Alright, we need to focus on a few other things at this point. I know I'm spending a lot of time mixing up various purples and whatnot right now, but we really need to focus on, one, the pants, and two, the skin. So let's get serious over here and think of what we can do with some pants, guys. I guess we'll just get out some Prussian blue for this. Maybe some alizarin crimson. Actually, definitely some alizarin crimson. Who am I kidding? Alizarin crimson is our huckleberry right now, and we need it. We need to mix ourselves up a violet stat. And then let's get a little bit of the cadmium in there. I always find myself using a lot more cadmium than any earth yellows or anything. And I do that because of the unique reflectance of cadmium paints. There's a certain look to a painting that it has when you use cadmium colors that you just don't get with earth colors. So I guess I have the earth colors nearby, just in case I want to use them, but it's kind of hard to justify it at times, because you know you're going to want to use a cadmium to mix up a color. And some people don't like doing that because they think that the mixing with the cadmium is a way to offset the cost of oil paint, and it's not a way to offset the cost of oil paint. The reason for doing it is because of the way it looks. It gives the painting an appearance that it wouldn't otherwise had. It's an artistic choice, and that's kind of where I'm going with pretty much everything that I'm putting down here. It's a series of artistic choices. Everything I do here is an artistic choice to make it look a certain way. The choices of the colors, the mixes that we use, the colors that we set beside each other, etc., etc. I could probably articulate that better, but those are the words that come to mind right now. It's about relationships, just like in life. Alright, I'm going to want just a touch of alizarin crimson for this mix. A touch of alizarin crimson will get us where we want to go, I think. Some days I wonder if I use more Prussian blue or ultramarine blue, but I know the answer. The answer is I use both. I use them both so much. It's weird. A lot of people don't use those colors, but, excuse me, a lot of people don't use Prussian blue. I think that there's a general feeling that Prussian blue has been replaced by phthalo blue. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, phthalo blue is just a very popular industrial blue that a lot of people use in printing, a lot of artists use in their work. Stuff like that. So people do use it a lot. Heck, Bob Ross used it. But, I don't know. I don't really use it that much because I think that Prussian blue is a little bit easier to paint with. Which is funny because Prussian blue is very, very strong. Okay, let's make sure we got this, and then let's, right about at the center point, there's going to be a little curve right here. Okay. That's good. I need some more white, guys. Just not getting enough white on this. I was going through some of my watercolor paints the other day. I was looking through my watercolor paints because I was searching for a certain number of paints. I like to paint a certain way in oils that's, I think, different than what I do in watercolors, and vice versa. I've noticed that I like painting a certain way. The colors that I'm using is just, it feels right to paint with certain colors in one medium versus another, because transparent colors don't necessarily translate to what you want to do in oil painting, unfortunately. Some do. Some colors translate very, very well. Prussian blue is one of them, ultramarine is another. And it's mostly because if you don't use those, you're not using anything. You have to use those colors because there's only so many blues available in the world. I can think of, yeah, I can think of maybe a handful of blues that are available. There's cerulean blue, there's cobalt blue, there's ultramarine, Prussian, phthalo. There's a new Yinmen blue that was created not that long ago, but that color is way too expensive. Like it's funny. They created the color. There were whole news articles bragging about it and stuff, and then you found out just how much it cost because one of the compounds that's in it apparently is in. It's like I think there's a cobalt in there someplace, and anytime you see cobalt involved, you know, well, that's going to be pretty expensive, and it was pretty expensive. It's one of the most. It's literally the most expensive blue there is right now, so it's not a terribly useful color for artistic purposes at this point. I think a bunch of artists were initially excited, me, myself included, and then we saw the price tag and said, ooh, ooh, yeah, we're just going to keep using what we got. Though I guess if you want to have a particularly valuable painting on your hands, you want to act like one of the old masters using lapis lazuli way back when, like they did in a lot of those old paintings. I guess you could get some Yinmen blue and act all fancy and everything and charge an arm and leg for a painting. Can't guarantee anyone's going to buy it, but hey, someone might go for it. You never know, right? Alright, I'm going to use a little bit of white on this. I don't know. I'm always plotting for the future. Been thinking about what colors I'm going to use after I run out of this paint. And honestly, I guess it's kind of just up in the air between Winsor and Newton and Gamblin right now. I guess it doesn't have to be a either or. You could just use them both. I haven't used that much Gamblin paint in my life though. I kind of want to just try some things out and see what it's like. Okay. I think we're almost ready here on this. I think we're almost ready. Because I want to paint some flesh tones, and then we really need to focus on the remote that's going to be in the figure's lap. Okay, I have what I need. It's a little bit difficult to get that color right, but hey, we got it. Okay. I think one of the most fun things about this sort of thing is that you get to finesse the painting a little bit after you're done. I think that's going to be extra fun, just finessing the painting a little bit. Getting ourselves a little bit, my number one goal, like I've been telling you guys, is to get the proportions right. And getting the proportions right can be so hard sometimes. Sometimes you just get it right. Sometimes getting the proportions, you're living on easy street, everything's coming together just the way you want it to. Other days, ain't nothing going right. But recently, the painting has been coming together just one step at a time, guys. One step at a time, and it feels amazing. Okay, let's just slip a little bit of this down here too. Like I say, we don't want to paint in isolation. Because if you paint in isolation, you are going to have a bad time. Okay, we'll stop right about there. I don't want to go too far, otherwise, otherwise you guys aren't going to be able to see what I'm doing, and that's no fun. But also we need to concentrate on this part. Okay. I think we got the pants about where we want them right now. Maybe. Maybe. I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you what. Take a little bit of what we're doing here. Let's mix a little bit of cadmium scarlet or cadmium red light into things and see what it looks like. Because sometimes, like I say, sometimes it'll surprise you. Here, I'm just going to use a little bit more cadmium paint because I guess the stuff I have over here is it's a little too dried out. I'm kind of surprised because, excuse me, cadmium paint kind of takes a hot second to dry out. Ah, well. Might have got a little overzealous here with the cadmium. I'll tell you what. We'll just keep the Prussian blue in there. Add a little bit more. And that ought to be dark enough. Yeah, that's dark enough. Okay. Okay, let's see how this looks, guys, because I'm a little bit nervous about this color. Okay, that's dark enough. That is dark enough for sure. There, now we're talking, guys. Got ourselves kind of a, I don't even know if transparent is the right word for it, but God, it feels a little bit transparent right now, doesn't it? A little bit. God, you know, sometimes it's hard to get a dark that's that good, but you do it sometimes. Sometimes cadmiums will surprise you the way that they can mix stuff up. This is one of those days. Yeah, this is one of those days, guys. I just want to get a little bit of a stronger value in here because, I don't know, our values seem a little light right now, but every chance we can take to punch them up is always a good thing in my world. Okay. It's not looking too bad, honestly. Nah, that's looking alright. Let's focus on the, well, I guess we should focus on the flesh tones right now. So, I know what we gotta do. We're bound to have to focus on them anyway. The hardest part of this is going to be getting the fingers down. I hope we have time to do the fingers today. If nothing else, we'll have at least time to do the shapes. So, fingers crossed, guys. But we're going to start with cadmium yellow, get a little bit of alizarin crimson, and that'll get our base tone going. Yeah, got ourselves a nice earthy orange there. And then we'll add ultramarine blue into this as we're going, because we need that ultramarine on our side. I don't know, do we have the right color for this? I don't know. Let's add a little bit of alizarin. And I think we need something that's just a little bit more, a little bit redder. And we'll take some of that color, bring it off to the side here, and we'll see if we have something that we can work with. I don't know. It's getting better. Okay. Just a little bit more red. Kind of surprised how red heavy this particular section is going to be, but maybe we'll need to use something a little bit brighter in the meantime. Okay, let's throw this in. And we'll paint over anything that comes afterward. Kind of has, skin here has, I don't even know if bruised is the right word, but it kind of has that dull look to it that feels very fleshy, doesn't it? I love cadmium red light, and I love alizarin crimson for skin, because two colors just seem to want to work together to be skin. They know what their job is, and you really have to admire someone who loves doing their job. You know what I mean, guys? Yeah, you know. You don't need me to tell you. Okay, let's just get some coverage here, guys. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have taken this red color all the way over this way, but I feel a little bit better having blocked in the shape. Best part of it is, I think... Oh god, do I want to do this? Alright, here. We'll do it like right there. It's kind of funny just how far off that arm is going. Oh man. It's another one of those instances where maybe I biffed the proportions ever so slightly. Although I think on some of these proportions over here, they were actually pretty good, guys. I don't think I messed this one up all that badly. Yeah. This needs to go just a little bit further, I think. Okay. Okay. Since we're getting into some delicate work here, we might need to bust out a delicate brush, I think, because we've been using this flat brush that's a little bit more severe to do the work. But now we need to concentrate and get some things that are going to be a little bit more delicate. Now, let's take a very small touch of ultramarine. A very small touch. And we'll see where this takes us. How are we doing here? Okay. Adding ultramarine into the mix that's a little bit more yellow is producing more of a... Well, it's producing the yellowish tone of skin that we kind of need on the side here for the figure. Some days I feel like these skin tones just can't get yellow enough. It's a weird feeling. But hey, if you've ever painted before, you know what I'm talking about. Alright. Let's try this. Maybe we needed some cerulean blue on this. Yeah, maybe we did need some cerulean blue. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's funny how cerulean blue just kind of works so well for skin tones, but, you know, ultramarine is no slouch either. I guess if I had to pick between ultramarine and cerulean blue, I'd probably pick the cerulean at the end of the day, but here. Add slightly more yellow to what I just had in my mix. And now maybe we'll have just the right color here. I'm kind of surprised how much yellow I'm putting in this. Ooh, boy. There. It's nothing if not lively. I think we need some more shadow down there. Maybe we'll try something in a second here. Okay. Let's take a look over here and make sure that, okay, these fingers are going to be pretty challenging, guys. Yeah, they're going to be pretty challenging. Maybe we need, debating whether we need. Okay, I think we're kind of getting the color that we need over here. I think we are. Here I was all concerned. I don't know if I need to be as concerned as I thought I was. Okay. I'll tell you, anytime you paint flesh tones, anytime you paint any part of the body, it's a little bit of a thrill ride. All right. All right. Like right down in here. God, it still doesn't look like much, but I think this is going to take some shape. Okay. No, it doesn't look like much quite yet, but I got a feeling that it will. Let's think about maybe using some cadmium red light up in here. I haven't really done too much with cadmium red light yet, but it might be just the color that we need to get certain tones. Cadmium red light into our mix with a little bit of white, and I think we just about have it. Yeah, that's that, God, that's that blood-filled color. That sounds pretty intense, doesn't it? The blood-filled color that I was looking for that I just couldn't get with the alizarin crimson. Well, now that we have this, let's look right here. This may be a little wet for me to do what I have to do. I don't know yet, guys. Oh, this is going to be a tricky piece. Yeah, this might require a little bit more finagling, but whew. Come on. You know what? I'm starting to think I might have brought this down a little too low. I don't know, something about this feels like it needs a little bit more white on the shirt. So maybe we'll just let everything be as it is for right now, until this dries at least, because trying to paint into things as they are is proving to be a little bit difficult with such a delicate area. Plus, we still got to get like one more thing here that is going to be tough to do if we keep painting the fingers. That's the thing about art, especially faces and hands. They're always going to take a little bit more work because they're very delicate and they're very specific. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you want to get those right. You don't want to fool around with them. But, you know, we've got the start of some shapes here that I think we can work with. Some good shapes, some good colors, all that business. We'll get them. We will get them. It just might take some, it might take us some sessions that are specifically devoted to the hands. Which is not unusual. No, no. No, it is not. If that sounds crazy, it shouldn't. And if you've ever done that, you shouldn't feel alone, because, hey, we are all in the same boat together. You and me, guys. You and me. Alright, so I'm kind of mixing up some sap green here. I'm banking on it doing what I need it to. Boy, that's really descriptive, isn't it? No, I'm banking on it being just like a light enough green color that I think I can use it for some shadow areas, although I'm probably going to want to use a little bit of my typical, very, very typical cadmium yellow deep into the mix. It was kind of incredible just how much of this cadmium yellow deep and whatnot that we're using right now. Cadmium yellow deep and Prussian blue mixes. Getting a lot of mileage out of these, aren't we? Yeah, I guess we are. Alright, let's let's just focus. Focus. There's going to be a little bit of a hump here. Okay. And right about here to about there is where this is going to go. Come on. Pretty okay here. We're doing pretty okay, guys. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as sort of the quote-unquote shadow color. Here, we're going to bump this up just a little bit, because there's a little hump right there on the controller. It goes right about there. That's good. Alright. And then we'll use some of our Prussian blue. I think I've already got a color mixed up here that's pretty good, so maybe we could just use that. We'll use some of this Prussian blue mix. And hopefully this will be good enough. I can tell already that one, we'll have to add a little bit of something as we for our shadow color right there, but also let me try some of this. Let me try just pulling it down like that. Maybe that'll work better. Yeah, I don't know. Paint is just a little bit wet right now. It's okay. It doesn't look as good as it could, but it looks okay. Right now we'll settle for okay. Because okay is still better than the proportions that we had, right? Oh, yeah. Yep. Alright, bearing that in mind, let's just mix a little bit into our cadmium red light and Prussian blue mix, and let's see what we're gonna get here. I need something a little bit lighter. This is a good mixture. This is really nice, actually. Sometimes you forget how useful these two colors are together. Colors at such opposite ends of the spectrum. I think I want more blue on this than anything. Okay. There. God, this is a very imperfect remote right now, but God, I'm just gonna run with it. Oh God. Yeah, I'm just gonna run with it. Here, maybe we could use a couple of colors in our palette here to really hammer things home, I guess. Like maybe like this color right here. Maybe we could put this right there, because maybe that looks a little bit like that's going to be the first button on the remote. God, I hope by the end of this is going to look a little bit more like a remote. Otherwise, we're going to be spending a little bit more time on this. Whew. No, we'll just take it slow here. Right about there. There's another button. There. Here's another button. Let's go to about the halfway point, like right here. Okay. And we'll notate those buttons. Yeah, those are pretty messy, but I suppose they'll do. I don't know if I'm completely happy with them, but like I say, it'll be alright. Some of those were, those buttons were not as good as they could have been. Yeah, you know, that's what we call introspection. Sometimes you have to admit that not everything you do is perfect. Okay, that right there looks pretty decent though. That's a good color. That's pretty much exactly the color that I wanted for that. Okay, I think we've almost got the color that we need right here. Okay, and then one more color over here. And I think we'll have something, guys. Let's just let me wipe off some of this. Here, what if we just take a little bit of the cadmium red light into what we've been working with? Good. I have a hard time getting the right color here. There. This might be the right color. Let's go for it. Okay, and then we'll just tap this one in right there. You see how little accents like that add a lot to a painting. Like I say, it's not perfect yet, but with a little work, and you know, the other part of the remote painted, it'll look a lot more like what we need it to, and also a little bit more work on the fingers, but God, it's just one of those things that's kind of tough to do in one session. Well, that was a pretty good painting session, guys. That was very rewarding, I thought. We nailed down some flesh tone stuff. We got the position of the fingers started. Hell, we started the remote. Is it perfect? It doesn't feel perfect yet, but yeah, we'll give it a little bit of extra effort sometime in the near future, and we'll see where this painting takes us. We just need to remember that, you know, we got to keep at it. We can't just, you know, walk away for a little while, because, well, one, the paint that we were using, that mud color, kind of just dries out, and then we have to throw stuff away, and then all the other colors kind of dry out too. So yeah, but it's okay because we got a new pile started and it should do us well. Alright, I think that's about all I'm going to get scraped up here off all this. Yeah, that's about all we're going to get. Still, nice little pile started, guys. Alright, catch you later, everyone. Thanks.